You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Welcome to From Beneath the Hollywood Sign. If you love old movies, Hollywood history, or the golden age of filmmaking, you've come to the right place. This is the podcast that talks about amazing stories of Tinseltown from another era and fascinating conversations with writer-producer Steve Cubine and actress-writer Nan McNamara.
So, Steve, did Ava Gardner and Howard Hughes have a good relationship?
Well, they did until he dislocated her jaw.
What?
Well, don't worry. She hit him back with an ashtray.
From Beneath the Hollywood Sign is the gin joint for you.
Thank you so much to all of you who support us on Patreon. Realize we haven't updated this in a while, so I'm going to do a big shout out here to all of our new supporters. Thank you again to all of you who already support the show, and some of you who've actually increased your support. That's been very much appreciated. So thank you to Phil Sanford, Russ Friedwald, Doug Batesel, Jeff Hadley, Chris Eve, Scott Barber, Andrew Bucksbaum, Ben Wolf, Michael Turner, our friend Lee DeGeorge, and Juliet Falla. So thank you again so much. We really appreciate the support. And to those of you who've already gotten your Triviality stickers, please shoot us a message or put them on Facebook and Twitter. We would love to see what you ended up doing with those.
Little fellow, you must have given up the hope of living.
On the contrary, I do not let the word death bother me.
Same here, baby.
Then what are you waiting for?
Recorded in Chicago, Illinois, with your hosts, Ken, Matt, Neal, and Jeff. This is Triviality. The cream of the crop!
Hello and welcome to Triviality, the show where a lack of seriousness meets a little bit of knowledge. My name is Matt and I will be your host today. Joining me in the studio as always is Neal, Ken, and Jeff. How are you guys doing today?
Okay. Sorry, I think you woke me up with your very energetic intro there, Matt.
I'm trying a new thing.
Yeah, Matt's taking some happy pills, and I don't think they've kicked in yet.
Yeah, we sprang ahead last night, and it's hurting. It's hurting us.
Yeah, we're on Rumspringa. We're allowed to interact with normal people.
I'm very enthusiastic about the extra hour of sunlight I assume we're going to be getting at some point in time.
Jeff is just silent over here. He's has some color in his face finally with the sun. So he came out of his crypt.
I always have color in my face. I'm usually bright red.
Yeah. So daylight savings, Matt, did that affect you this morning?
Oh no. I'm in my line of work, I'm used to waking up at 4 a.m. So what's another hour? I don't care anymore. All right. So today we have a game of death. Where our contestant will be trying to rise up the pagoda one-on-one versus all members of Triviality. So let's meet that guest. Dan Lundberg, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me back. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you on the show last time, and it was supposed to be a game of death, and it didn't work out. I think Matt actually was sailing in the Poconos, but we wanted to make sure we had you back, and after meeting you at Geek Bowl, which was such a pleasure. We had to make sure that we expedited it, and we're happy to have you here.
Oh, I had so much fun at that meetup. That was amazing time. You all put on a great show that day. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was fun when we got there. One thing that we didn't say in the recording, we had so much fun at Sister Sorrel, but when we got there, we figured there was going to be like a long table, something we could set up on our normal podcast setup, and when it was just sort of those high tables, we're like, oh, what's gonna happen now? But I think it actually helped because we had to stand up, we had to hold the mics, and it was a little more interactive, I think, which was what we wanted anyway. So I think it turned out really well.
Yeah, it was a really good time. It was one of the highlights of my weekend, to be sure.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Probably because I wasn't there. That would have dragged it down a little bit. Yeah, so, so far the guys are undefeated in these games of death. Feeling a little nervous today, though, maybe?
I'm feeling nervous, and it's not because of my my recent blood report that I just got back. So
I'm feeling okay, not nervous, just exhausted.
I've got some wood I'm going to go knock on, but the truth is, we're going to lose at some point. So
yeah, we welcome it, and Ken and I normally don't have glasses on, so we both have glasses on today and not contacts, which does not bode well for us.
Yeah, I'm tapping into Zen Ken, which is my alternate personality of being so overexhausted that The gut answers are usually the best. There's no thinking, just gut.
I will say for good luck though today, I wore my Jack Burton Big Trouble in Little China T-shirt to hopefully help us with a little bit of a little Zen magic.
All right, so the game of death is played where a contestant faces our Triviality hosts 1 on 3. They will be working together in the mid and final rounds. In the individual rounds, they'll go 1-on-1 in categories of their strength. In the 4th round, Dan will get to choose the category in an effort to make up some points. As well as the final round, he will get to choose 5 of the 10 categories that I have provided for him. All right, round 1 will be Neal versus Dan in movies, television, and a little bit of pop culture. You guys ready?
Yeah, sure. I was. When I heard that Matt was hosting this one, I thought, oh boy, I got to go against Neal in movies. Not my forte.
How does it feel to be standing at the foot of the pagoda, Neal?
I don't know. I haven't been at this level before. I usually like, preparing, stretching, doing some push-ups and everything by the time someone gets to me. So starting off, I'm either just going to get wrecked terribly or hopefully put you guys in a good position. But as it is right now, I do not like being at the front of the lines. I would not have been received well in the troops during the Civil War. I would not have been in the front lines. I would have been on a horse or behind a cannon.
You would have been great on D-Day then.
I would have been the guy in Saving Private Ryan who just goes down right away as soon as the door opens. So.
All right. Well, that sounds like a good enough segue into question 1. In the 2002 Sam Raimi Spider-Man, in an effort to make some cash using his newfound ability to do whatever a spider can, he enters a contest to last 3 minutes with wrestler Bonesaw, portrayed by this real-life pro grappler.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right.
Yeah, come on, man. What are you doing?
I think you mean Bonesaw is ready.
I got you for 3 minutes.
So are you in, Neal?
I'm in as well, yeah.
All right. Dan, what did you say?
I would say that was our good friend, the Macho Man.
And Neal?
That is Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yes, that would be Randy Macho Man Savage. Also, just a side note, don't search Bonesaw without adding Spider-Man. There is an adult horror movie named Bonesaw. I ended up seeing some clips of at the local Starbucks.
You ended up seeing some clips of.
Right. It's so.
Well, once it hits play, you can't stop.
It autoloads so fast.
Yeah, you didn't have to click on the links.
Yeah, Matt, before he came here, said he was at Starbucks doing his questions and the power went out, but I have a feeling the power didn't go out and he was just enthralled in Bonesaw.
I think that's a good enough point to move on to question 2. Points for both teams then. What 2006 cult classic almost lost one of its stars when the studio wanted to change the name to Pacific Air 121?
I'm in.
Yeah, you're into my dead zone of movies there. Once I got married, I kind of stopped seeing movies, and
that seems like that'll happen. Yeah, outside of maybe The Notebook a couple times, and
Is that your personal list, The Notebook?
And Kate and Leopold. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well
that's all I've seen.
2006. That goes back. I'm gonna go in with a guess here. I'm gonna say the Sam Jackson pick, Snakes on a Plane.
Okay, you're going with Snakes on a Plane. And Neal, what did you say?
I went with the same, Snakes on a Plane.
Yep, correct. And the answer is Snakes on a Plane.
Oh.
So it's a funny story about that. The director of that, David R. Ellis, I was developing a script with him, with my friend Dave, and it was a horror slasher movie. It was supposed to be like from the 80s. We worked on it for a couple months, and he was super, super nice, really, really great guy. And as the script was getting pushed through, we were sort of in the final stages of him taking it to different actors and actresses and stuff. And then unfortunately and tragically, he died.
Oh, wow.
And then I messaged his agent. And I was like, hey, I know David, passed away. I didn't know what you wanted to do with this project. And he's like, oh, we're not going to do anything with that anymore. So terrible, but really great guy, though, by the way. So David R. Ellis, he directed Cellular and Final Destination 2 and 4.
Yeah, I was going to make a fun anecdote about Sam Jackson being afraid of snakes, but it feels inappropriate, so we're going to move on at that point. Fair enough. So 2 for 2 for both teams so far. Moving on to question 3. This 1994 movie, based on a true story, stars a Coppola and an actress who was previously directed by a Coppola in a movie written by a Coppola. Here's a tip. Think New York.
That's a lot. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
So it stars a Coppola.
Correct.
And it stars a Coppola. It has an actress who was directed by a Coppola.
Yes.
And was directed by a Coppola.
This movie was not directed by a Coppola. The actress was previously directed by a Coppola. That movie was written by a Coppola.
There's so many different ways to go with this.
There's only like 6 to 8 of them to choose from, so luckily the Coppola family is not very prolific in directing, so it's a pretty small pool.
Man, I'm coming close to tapping out on this.
If my joke answer ends up being right on this, I'm going to lose my mind.
I mean, there's no movies that actually take place in New York, so I
Yeah. It seems like the difficulty amped up pretty quickly for you guys.
I've got an educated guess I'm going to lock in with.
Dan is in?
Okay. I'm in.
All right. Neal, what did you say?
Leaving Las Vegas.
Okay. And Dan?
I said It Could Happen to You with Nick Cage and Bridget Fonda.
And the correct answer is It Could Happen to You.
Oh, my gosh.
With Nick Cage and Bridget Fonda. Great job, Dan. I'm very surprised you were able to pull. It didn't sound like you had anything there.
I latched on to Nick Cage at the very end and then started going back into his filmography. And I have some memories based on life events of when some of his movies came out, and I just had to work my way back on that one. Yeah. That was a total guess, though.
Yeah, I was hoping Tip would lead you there because the thing was it was a lottery ticket tip.
I wasn't even thinking about that. I knew it was Nick Cage, and I couldn't think of the other films because it's Fonda, right?
Yeah, Bridget Fonda was in Godfather 2?
Probably 3, I think. Maybe
3.
Yeah, she was directed by Sophia in a movie that was written by Francis Ford. So, all right. So points for Dan and no points for Neal. So he's up 3-2 in this round.
Okay, my luck's got to run out soon here.
All right. Question 4. Which Oscar host said during the telecast, Jack Palance has just bungee jumped off the Hollywood sign after a particularly impressive display of strength from the character actor?
I'm in.
Okay.
See, I would have said Billy Crystal for that, but I think that this was Billy Crystal's film, so I don't think he was hosting it at that point. I'm trying to think who else hosted back then, because he did a lot of them. All right, I'm just gonna throw a flyer out there because he did it one year and it was widely panned, but I loved it. I'm gonna go with David Letterman.
Okay, you're locking in with David Letterman. What did you say, Neal?
Oh, Uma and Oprah. I went Billy Crystal.
And the answer is Billy Crystal. Billy Crystal was very much in love with the Jack Palance doing feats of strength and things.
Yeah, usually anytime it's not Bob Hope, it's Billy Crystal most of the time in trivia.
Yeah,
at least.
I talked myself out of that one because of the connection between Jack Palance and Billy Crystal in City Slickers.
Now that they don't have Jack Palance doing feats of strength anymore, I always look forward to when they take Spartacus out and he comes and says a few words.
I think we all appreciate that. All right, question 5. In 2014, this show finally had its entire run released on DVD, with the long delay courtesy of the difficulty in securing music rights for a lot of episodes.
I'm locked in.
So it needs to be a show with a lot of music, obviously, and well-known music. Not too good on TV. I'm going to... same thing with It Happened to You. I knew that one. I just couldn't pull it. I'm tapping.
Ooh, tapping from Neal.
See, I have a memory of this show being really delayed coming out on DVD. I mean, like way delayed, like 15, 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I said The Wonder Years.
The correct answer is The Wonder Years. So points for Dan there. Even with the theme song, I believe that there was some issues getting the actual version. And there was popular music in pretty much every single episode, which is very hard for them to license. So after round 1, we have Dan with a score of 40, Team Triviality with a score of 30. How do you feel coming after round 1?
Oh man, I'm shaking right now after a couple of those. I had no business scoring 40 that round.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes that's how it works.
I could see myself pulling the Snakes on a Plane again, but honestly, I think the stars aligned to get It Could Happen to You. So,
my question following that round is, Do we have more scratch paper? Because Neal basically wrote on all the margins of this sheet. And now we don't have anywhere else to write.
Well, we're just going to assume that Ken's just going to know all these right away, and there will be no need for scratch paper.
That's usually how I do it.
I'm really going to be upset because I own It Happened to You on DVD, and that just makes me so angry. I knew it was Nick Cage right away. Yeah. Just the wording threw me off. Matt knows that a complicated collection of words just will throw me off like an Achilles heel.
Yeah.
The one person in America that owns It Happens to You, It Happened to You, and
it could happen to you.
I have It Happened to You, and It Happened One Night, and that's my double feature for tonight.
Perfect. All right, so we're moving into Ken's level of the pagoda, which has kind of turned into a hodgepodge of different things.
Yeah, that's not fair.
That I think Ken likes.
That's not fair.
It's not fair. But that's okay. All right, question 1. Darknut, Octorok, and Keese are classic enemies in this video game series.
I'm locking in.
I kind of have to guess on this one, so I'm in too.
All right, Ken, what did you say?
I know Mega Man series had a nice plethora of villains, so I went with Mega Man.
Okay, and Dan?
I have no idea, so I said Fallout.
All right. Well, the answer is actually Legend of Zelda. Yeah. Keese are what the bats are called in every single one of the games. Octorok's the thing that shoots the rocks at you. And the Darknuts were the knights in the first game, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was mostly a Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask one, so I'm sure the Keese were in there, but
the other one's probably
not.
I have a video game-sized blind spot in my trivia knowledge.
All right, good to know for next time. I'll make sure to pepper in a couple more. Then, all right.
That's not going to be my category at the end, by the way.
Yeah, little spoilers. You are not picking video games as your category. No. All right, question 2. Fluent in over 6 million languages, this character would have no problem working as a translator anywhere from India to Endor.
Yeah, I'm locked in on that.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Ken, what did you say?
I believe that's C-3PO.
And Dan?
Yes, that is C-3PO. And he's actually fluent in 7 million now.
Oh, they've added a million languages.
Yeah.
All right.
Was that installed on his red arm?
Yeah. So the answer is C-3PO. So points for both teams.
Nice.
Question 3. Which American landmark is named for a wall that was built to protect the Dutch against attacks from pirates and various Native American tribes, and to keep other potential dangers out of the establishment?
That's pretty tough. Okay. I have something that I feel is in the right area, perhaps.
You said it's a landmark.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wall built in Holland, which means I'm assuming it's going to have more of a Dutch name to it. All my landmarks don't have anything like that in their names. All right, I'm just going to throw it out there and hope that there was a wall in Holland named Rushmore and say Mount Rushmore.
Okay, locking in with Mount Rushmore?
Sure. Why not?
What'd you say, Ken?
I was more under the impression that, since there was a lot of Dutch settlers, it would have been, more local. Now that I've written my answer, I know it's probably wrong because this is in our great state of Illinois. I wrote Fort Dearborn.
All right. Well, Ken was actually on the right track. It was in America to protect the Dutch colony. It's actually Wall Street.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So they built Wall Street to keep out pirates and the Native Americans. So.
Please don't intrude on me, Vader, please.
Okay. And I wrote that question just to get Neal's Dutch voice in there.
Which is vaguely German.
Yeah, it's good in there. All right. So no points there, unfortunately. So we'll move on to question 4. Abraham Lincoln was the tallest president at 6'4". Which Virginian president was the shortest, coming in at about a foot shorter?
I'm going to lock in on this one. I'm not going to be able to get anywhere else with it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I know this one. This is kind of a fact that comes up a little bit. I might be confusing it a little bit, but we'll see. I'm locked in.
All right, Ken, what did you say?
I think Madison was the shortest president.
All right, and Dan?
I also said Madison.
Answer is James Madison.
Yeah, I was concerned it was maybe Monroe, and I was confusing the two, but no, it was Madison.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I thought that Jefferson was the tallest, so I was thinking Jefferson-Madison went from tallest to shortest, and then when I realized that Lincoln was actually taller, it kind of threw off my little mnemonic device there, but I still remember it.
Yeah, 6'4" is pretty tall.
Well, weirdly, all of the presidents this century are over 6 foot.
Yeah. All right.
Well, good for them.
Moving on to question 5. Raku is a type of pottery most associated with which kind of Japanese ceremony?
Can you spell Raku?
Yep. Raku. Not to be confused with Roku, which is my streaming of choice.
I'm just going to lock in with a pure guess.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
All right, Ken, what'd you say?
Well, when you say ceremony, I think tea ceremonies, though it could be wedding, funeral, something like that. But I went with a tea ceremony.
Okay, and Dan?
I also went with the tea ceremony.
The answer is tea ceremony. Good job, guys.
So after that, we both increased by 30 points, and we both got the same questions right and wrong.
Perfect.
So that brings our total to 60 and Dan's to 70.
All right.
Following that round, we just want to pause a second and talk to Dan a little bit. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself for the audience who might not know you as well as we do?
Yeah, I realized listening to my last episode that I was on, I really didn't introduce myself all that much. So I'm living in Charlotte, North Carolina right now. I'm originally from the Minneapolis, Minnesota area. Had a good run there before my wife's job moved out here. So we came out here, and I'm liking it here. I fell hard into the trivia scene here. Met up with some really fun people. My teammates Mike Cameron and Phil Sanford, both down here. We have a lot of fun with that. I got into trivia by being invited by my sister to a trivia night. I'd never been to one before, and she never actually showed up to it. My brother and I and our wives all went to this show, and we ended up breaking the record for the highest score that they'd seen.
Oh. Do you think your sister would have hindered that score, or did it work out?
She wasn't actually going to play with us. She was going to play on a different team. But my brother and his wife were from out of town, and my wife has no desire to actually go back. So I had to go back and play by myself for a while until I finally fell in with the team. It was a lot of fun, and it hooked me.
Yeah, I always considered playing trivia by myself, but felt like I didn't want to end in last place. So I just never have done it.
So Dan, how good do you guys feel as a Vikings fan about possibly having Kirk Cousins as your starting quarterback?
I don't know. I don't think quarterback play is what lost us the NFC Championship game. I think we hit a hot team. So
yeah, unfortunately, the correct answer is you like that.
Is the quarterback the one who throws the ball?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I just feel like adding Kirk Cousins is just adding another one of the 3 quarterbacks we already have on the team. I don't think it makes us markedly better. I don't know. I think they might be overpaying.
All right. And that is your Vikings Minute, our new reoccurring segment we're going to have every single week.
Regardless if you know anything about the Vikings. Could be regular Vikings, too. Historical Vikings.
There's a lot of different Vikings.
The spacecraft Viking.
So
Viking ranges. There's those.
Yeah, I could see that, too. All right. Moving into the swing round. Today I have 10 questions for you. They are going to be worth 10 points for Dan and 5 points for Team Triviality because they're going to be able to work together. I hope you guys have pen and paper because there's going to be a little bit of math involved. Today's swing round is called Sports Ball Maths, which is probably not good for the 3 gentlemen in the studio. How this is going to work is I'm going to give you some numbers. You do the math. Catches, you need to know these famous players' numbers to solve them. Are you guys ready?
No.
All right. Number 1. Kobe Bryant's Lakers numbers plus Kobe Bryant's Oscar wins equals this number, the number of another Laker Hall of Famer. All right. Paul Pierce's number minus Larry Bird's number gives you this number, the number of titles Paul Pierce won in his career. Number 3. Take Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s current car and divide by his previous car to get this number, which is currently driven by Denny Hamlin. Number 4. Take Wayne Gretzky's Kings number and subtract Mario Lemieux's number to get this number, worn by legendary goaltender Patrick Waugh. Number 5. Take Super Bowl champion Alshon Jeffrey's number and subtract Tom Brady's number to get this number, the number of Super Bowl wins by the Patriots. Number 6. Take Michael Jordan's Birmingham Barons number, subtract Scottie Pippen's number, and it gets you this number, worn by Jordan himself when his jersey was stolen one night. Number 7. Take Babe Ruth's number and multiply it by Roger Maris's number to get this number, the number of Yankee titles. Number 8. Take LeBron James' Miami number, multiplied by Chris Bosh's Miami number to get this number, the number of consecutive finals that LeBron James has been to. Number 9. Take Gilbert Arenas plus Andre Drummond plus Kevin Love in Cleveland plus Olden Polynice plus Russell Westbrook plus Robert Parrish to get this number. Number 10. Take Barry Bonds' Giant number, add Sammy Sosa's Cub number, add Mark McGwire's Cardinal number to get this number, too short of the all-time home run record in a season that Barry Bonds currently holds. Okay. And here they are one more time. Kobe Bryant's Lakers numbers plus Kobe Bryant's Oscar wins equals this number, the number of another Laker Hall of Famer. All right, Paul Pierce's number minus Larry Bird's number gives you this number, the number of titles Paul Pierce won in his career. Number 3. Take Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s current car and divide by his previous car to get this number, which is currently driven by Denny Hamlin. Number 4. Take Wayne Gretzky's Kings number and subtract Mario Lemieux's number to get this number, worn by legendary goaltender Patrick Waugh. Number 5. Take Super Bowl champion Alshon Jeffrey's number and subtract Tom Brady's number to get this number, the number of Super Bowl wins by the Patriots. Number 6. Take Michael Jordan's Birmingham Barons number, subtract Scottie Pippen's number, and it gets you this number, worn by Jordan himself when his jersey was stolen one night. Number 7. Take Babe Ruth's number and multiply it by Roger Maris's number to get this number, the number of Yankee titles. Number 8. Take LeBron James' Miami number, multiplied by Chris Bosh's Miami number to get this number, the number of consecutive finals that LeBron James has been to. Number 9. Take Gilbert Arenas plus Andre Drummond plus Kevin Love in Cleveland plus Olden Polynice plus Russell Westbrook plus Robert Parrish to get this number. Number 10. Take Barry Bonds' Giant number, add Sammy Sosa's Cub number, add Mark McGwire's Cardinal number to get this number, too short of the all-time home run record in a season that Barry Bonds currently holds.
So I guess to start from the top.
Kobe?
So Kobe was 8 and he was 24, which is 32. He won 1 Oscar just recently, so it'd be 33.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea about any of these. Just so
do you know Paul Pierce's number?
Well, I'm guessing Paul Pierce is probably like 34, because the Celtics only won once recently, right, with Kevin Garnett and stuff.
Could be.
He's on the team? Celtics, right? I have no idea.
I thought Paul Pierce was on the Clippers.
Oh, I don't know. I would say 30. I would say 1.
1, yeah, I'm fine with that.
I mean, because I don't know.
That's fine. Alshon Jeffrey's still playing as 17 then?
Alshon Jeffrey's 17, yeah.
He still is? Even with the Eagles?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, unless he's...
Because he was 17 on the Bears.
He was. That's why I was thinking he kept his number, but maybe he didn't.
Because have the Patriots won Super Bowls not with Tom Brady?
I don't think they've ever won. They lost to the Bears.
When did they lose to the Bears?
85.
Okay. But did they win? I feel like Robert Kraft won a title before Brady with
I'm saying
Brady's won 5.
I think he's only won 5, though.
Drew Bledsoe never won one?
No, because here...
Oh, Brady came in and replaced Bledsoe and won that
Brady
year.
replaced Bledsoe when they beat the Oakland Raiders.
Okay, so you're probably right. So 17 minus 12 is 5. I think we can agree on that.
I'm almost positive... I don't think they would have won. The only thing I would have known, I'm not old enough, is if they would have won before they lost to the Bears, but I don't think they won one.
Fair enough.
Because they sucked forever, and now they've been great.
What was Pippen's number?
33.
33. Do we have a guess for Yankees championships?
Well, it's got to be in the 20s. It's got to be like between 21 and...
I don't know if it's that high.
All right, well, it's Roger Maris, right?
Yeah.
He's 1 through 10 because in the movie 61 that Billy Crystal directed, it was about the race between Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle was 7. I want to say Roger Maris was like 9.
So 18 Yankees championships?
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Okay. Oh, yeah, sorry. So Russell Westbrook, I'm pretty sure, is 0.
He could be.
And who's the other people? Do you have their names?
No.
I think they're all 0. Or at least many of them are 0.
Oh, okay. Then we're going 0. That's fine. And then the other one was the Barry Bonds plus Sammy Sosa plus Mark McGwire is two less than the current record.
It's between 68 and 72, and I can't remember. You said 71.
I thought it was maybe 73, but maybe that's what it's to break.
Oh, that's possible.
All right, it looks like everyone is locked in after much discussion. Much discussion. All right, so for number one, for Kobe Bryant, what did you get with, Dan?
I had 8 plus 24 plus 1 for 33.
And Jeff?
We had the exact same math, 33.
33 is correct. All right, number two. Dan, what did you have for Pierce minus Bird?
Scott, please forgive me if I got this one wrong, but I think it's 34 minus 33 for 1.
Okay, and Jeff?
We also have one Paul Pierce title.
All right, the answer is 1. All right, for number three, what do you guys know about NASCAR? Dan?
I live in Charlotte, so I'm going to get dragged out of town if I don't get this one right. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Drives the 88 car right now, and he previously drove the 8 when he was at Earnhardt Incorporated. So that would be 11, which is the car that Denny Hamlin drives.
All right, and Jeff?
We were thinking 3 and 45, which I think actually may have been seniors' numbers. So we got 15 on that one.
Oh, just a little off there. I believe the senior was 3 his whole career.
Could have been.
We're on 4.
Number 4.
So Wayne Gretzky minus Mario Lemieux. Well, we knew Gretzky was 99. We thought Mario Lemieux was 89, so we said 10 for Patrick Waugh.
Okay, and Dan?
Yeah, I'm doubting my answer on this one now. I was going back and forth between Lemieux being 77 and 66. I took 77 and said 22, but as we were reading these again after I locked in, I seemed to have a flash of Patrick Waugh being 33, but I did lock in at 22. So
okay, well, Lemieux was 66, making Patrick Waugh 33. Number 5, Super Bowl champions. Jeff, what'd you say?
Unless Alshon Jeffrey's changed his number since he was in Chicago, we're pretty sure he's still 17 with the Eagles. Tom Brady is 12, leaving 5 Patriots Super Bowl titles.
And Dan?
Yeah, I had to go at this one from the Patriots titles angle and said 5.
All right, 5 is correct. All right, Michael Jordan in minor league baseball. Jeff, what did you say?
We felt that Jordan famously kept his number 45 when he played minor league baseball. Scottie Pippen being 33, leaves a stolen jersey number of 12.
And Dan?
Yeah, I took a flyer on him wearing 45, and that's why he took 45 when he came back from retirement. So, yeah, that answer would be 12 then.
Yep, 12 is correct. Yankee titles. Jeff, what do you got?
We had no idea. We thought maybe Babe Ruth was 3 and Roger Maris was 6. Multiply them together, we got 18 Yankees championships, which doesn't sound unreasonable.
All right, and Dan?
Roger Maris was number 9, which gives them 27 titles.
Wow.
27 titles for the Yankees.
I told you it was 27. I had a gut feeling there. The Yankees are just an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
Which money will help you do.
All right. LeBron James math. Jeff, what'd you guys say?
So we said LeBron is 6. Sneaky, you multiplied it by 1 for Chris Bosh. 6 consecutive finals finishes for LeBron.
And Dan?
Yeah, that's 6.
Yep, 6 is the answer. All right. Question 9. Dan, what'd you come up with that?
Well, I originally had said 0, thinking they were all zeros, and then I remembered that Robert Parrish was 00, so I said 00 for my answer.
All right, and Jeff?
Yeah, we said there's no way we could add all of these together, so we said 0.
The answer is 0, and actually, Olden Polonese was also 00, so there's a couple of 00s in there. All right, question 10. Steroids in baseball. Jeff, what did you guys say?
We didn't know for sure McGuire and Sosa's numbers and bonds. We argued about that for a while. But we were pretty sure that either the one to break or the current record was 73. So taking 2 back from that, we said 71.
All right. And Dan?
Yeah, I had to go at this one from the record as well because I wasn't coming up with either one of their jersey numbers. And I'm positive that the number is 73. So we're going to go down to 71.
Yep. 25 plus 25 plus 21 gives you 71.
Oh, so he's 25, not 35. Okay. I was thinking McGuire was 35.
So after the swing round, Dan had a really great 9 out of 10 there. And with double points, that's actually going to bring him up to 160. Triviality, not too bad, 7, which brings them to 95. So Dan with a pretty big lead going into round 3. And round 3 will be Jeff. Jeff, you ready?
I don't think so, looking at this score.
All right. In round 3, which will be Jeff, which kind of focuses on science and geography mostly. That's what we kind of be focusing on. You ready, Dan?
I'm ready for the geography part.
Can I have 5 science questions, please?
Hold back the science questions if you would. Thank you.
All right. Question 1. In a litmus test, a test strip will turn this color to indicate an acid and this color to indicate a base.
I'm locked in.
All right. Pretty sure that an acid will turn it pink and a base will turn it blue. So I'll go with that.
Okay. And Jeff?
I agree with you. I said blue and I put red, but yeah. Pink.
Red or pink. It's in that hue. That is correct. So points for both teams. So you got the science right. You know what you're doing, Dan.
If all the science questions are on that level, then we'll be okay.
All right. Well, my history here is to kind of ramp it up out of nowhere. So, question 2. Which European country was the last to abolish serfdom, which was a major bummer for all the surfers of the Caspian Sea? You like that one, Ken?
I'm locked in.
You said European?
Yes.
One of the questions I always have about when someone says European is what is the definition of Europe? Because it moves all over the place. Caspian Sea is mostly in Asia, so I
don't necessarily think it's that problematic because I think by most reasonable definitions the country is considered European. But yeah,
it's not gonna matter how you change it.
Right.
I'm going with one of 3. Okay. So I don't know which one it's going to be yet, but I'm going with one of 3. Did Jeff say he's locked in? Okay.
Yeah.
There's one of 3 over there that I'm thinking about. I'm just going to go Azerbaijan and call it a day.
Okay.
That's one of the ones I was thinking of. The other one I thought it could be, and this one often comes up as far as being European. Being in the lower Caucasus, as far as mountain ranges are concerned, because there's like famously 7 peaks that you can climb, and one of them is either in Georgia or it's in the Swiss Alps, depending on how you define Europe. So another one could be Georgia. I just assumed, however, that this would be Russia. So
yes, and the answer is Russia.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wasn't one of the 3 either. So.
Question 3. Alfred Nobel created the Nobel Prizes to leave a better legacy after reading an erroneous obituary condemning him for the creation of this item.
I'm locked in.
I'm also going to lock in, but I guess I can talk it out. So it was dynamite that he invented.
And Jeff?
Trinitrotoluene, I believe it is, also known as dynamite.
Dynamite is the answer. So points for both teams there. Question number 4, getting back to geography a little bit. Translated from Old Persian for the fast one, this river runs through Baghdad.
Okay, I'm in.
Okay.
All right. I don't know how Dan feels about this one, but for me, this one's kind of a 50-50 because I can't remember for sure which of these 2 runs through Baghdad. But I'm going to say it's the Euphrates.
Okay. And Dan?
One of these days, I'm going to put to memory which one of them goes through Baghdad, but I also said the Euphrates.
And what was the other option you guys were thinking?
The Tigris.
And the answer is the Tigris.
I thought that one was a bit on the nose.
Wrong guess on the 50-50 there. All right. Question 5. The Sargasso Sea is most notable for having this unique feature.
I'm locked in.
Ooh. I don't know this one offhand, but I will lock in with a guess.
Okay, and Dan, you seem pretty confident. What did you say?
This has come up with the Sinister Six group a couple times lately. It interestingly has no land borders to it.
All right, and Jeff, what did you say?
I guessed that it was red.
Yes, it actually has no coastlines, no land borders. It's surrounded by ocean currents. Not sure how that qualifies as a sea, but it does, and that is the answer. So points for Dan there.
I didn't realize that was the name of that particular body of water.
All right, so in that lightning fast Jeff round, 30 points for both teams, bringing Dan all the way up to 190. Triviality lagging behind a little bit at 125. as we move into Dan's round. So Dan was able to choose a topic of choice for this, something he feels pretty confident in. And what did you choose, Dan?
Well, I decided that I was going to not make it a surprise at all, and I decided to keep tabletop games for this one. And I think I'm going to leave Neal out of this one.
Oh, you're showing sympathy for Neal.
I'm going to go between the guys that know their tabletop games. So I'm gonna have Alexa flip a coin, and we'll figure out who's going. So heads will be Jeff, tails will be Ken.
Nice.
Alexa, flip a coin.
You got tails.
It's tails, so it's going to be Ken.
All right. So Alexa says that Ken will be going against Dan in tabletop gaming.
I feel moderately comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not great on like rules of board games all the time, but we'll see what happens.
All right, you guys ready for question 1?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Question 1. This game, first released in 1983, contains armies from the Lizardmen, Vampire Counts, and the Warriors of Chaos, amongst others.
I'm going to need those names again, please.
Sure. Lizardmen, Vampire Counts, and the Warriors of Chaos.
What year?
1983.
I'm in.
Wow, I'm going to have to... This one's actually a little bit outside of my knowledge, believe it or not. 1983 would have been, what, 35 years ago?
That makes me feel so old.
I want to say that at the latest Gen Con convention in Indianapolis that they had a big to-do about a big anniversary for Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm gonna lock in with Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, locked in with Dungeons and Dragons. Ken, what did you say?
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons isn't generally a game where large armies clash, but I believe Warhammer is, so I went with Warhammer.
And the answer...
Yeah, that makes sense too.
...is Warhammer. Points for Ken there.
Yeah.
Jeff nodding. Did you know that one?
Yeah, I did.
I tend to stay away from the Warhammer universe altogether, so...
I will say all I knew about that question was I once puked at Gen Con. So that's all I know.
Yeah, I don't play Warhammer, but it does seem like a bit of fun, so maybe I'll try it out.
I just always like looking at the figures, but I would not be interested in probably playing the actual game. Moving on to question 2. This tabletop game was developed by a dental technician in the 1990s, inspired by his interest in Viking history. Also a favorite of Ben Wyatt.
You didn't give a specific year. You just said 1990s, right?
Yes.
I guess I'm sort of upset that I'm not playing this round, but also relieved.
Very vague on the clues there. I'm going to have to go off of Ben Wyatt. I think that this is going to be the Settlers of Catan.
And Ken?
Yeah, that's what I had too. I think it was developed by guy Klaus something, but I don't have too much background on that figure, but I think Ben Wyatt's Cones of Dunshire was loosely based on Settlers of Catan.
I actually, if I'm not mistaken, Matt, the reference here is they play this at Ben's bachelor party?
Correct. Answer is Settlers of Catan. He was a dental technician by trade, and he invented this game. It was Klaus something. You're right there,
Klaus
too.
Tuber, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good job, Klaus.
Yeah, Klaus Tuber's right.
Good job, Klaus.
I could have given you that.
Well, either way, points for you. And we're moving on to question 3. The predecessor to this 1974 released game was known as Chainmail, before one of the creator's 2-year-old daughters helped him land on the eventual name.
That's a tough one. I'm trying to think of games where there might be like a message to be interpreted or something like that. I've been thinking about this for a little bit, and I just can't think of anything, so just a guessing.
1974, you said?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to do something that I never do. I'm going to go back to the well for this one that I already answered wrong. I'm going to go with the Dungeons and Dragons.
All right, locking in with Dungeons and Dragons. And Ken?
Going with categories.
All right, well, this one actually is Dungeons and Dragons, so...
You're kidding.
Oh,
good job going back to the well. Yeah,
I was thinking of the wrong kind of chainmail.
Chainmail was, I believe it was like the rule system for combat, which is what kind of developed for what they used in Dungeons and Dragons. He actually had a bunch of different names that he was going to call it. He ran it by his 2-year-old daughter, and she said, "I like Dungeons and Dragons," and that's how the name came about.
Good old Gary Gygax.
Gary Gygax. So points for Dan. Moving on to question 4. What is the solved conclusion for a game of Connect 4?
All right, so you said solved conclusion?
Mhm.
SOLVED?
Yes.
I have no idea what you're asking, so I'm going to pass.
Okay. Ken tapping out. And Dan, what did you say?
Okay, it's kind of convoluted, but I'm going to say that if the first player plays into the middle row, they can't lose the game unless they make a mistake on their end.
And that is correct. The solved conclusion for Connect 4 is the first player always wins. The first player cannot lose if they play the center role with a perfect play. And that's what a solved game is.
Oh.
I guess you have to know what a solved game is in order to answer that question.
Yeah, I've never heard that term.
Well, now you know for next time. Question 5. The most financially successful of the Game Master series of board games, this game, first released in 1981, focuses around a particular historical reenactment.
Okay, I'm in.
Wow, you brought the thunder with these.
Well, so the problem with writing questions in a category you don't know anything about is it's really hard to judge difficulty. So I had no idea if these were easy or hard. Apparently they were hard. So,
well, but they've all been gettable so far.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 1981, that would have been right around the time that this came out. So I'm going to... Just because it's historical and I have no other guess, I'm going to go with Axis and Allies.
Okay, and Ken?
That is possibly the answer. I went with Stratego, though.
And the answer is Axis and Allies.
Oh, okay, wow.
Good job, Dan.
I didn't think that one was too bad. When you said historical event, though, I mean, like, that game opens with bombing Pearl Harbor.
Right.
Like, you don't get much more specifically historical than that, so that would have been my guess. So I feel like that was a really good question.
All right, so going into the finals, Dan, you're actually up 230 to 145. Playing a killer game so far.
Yeah, we've come to my weakness, though. Interpreting the categories and actually wagering correctly on them.
So what I'm going to do is read 10 categories, and you're going to be able to choose 5 of them. Team Triviality will be able to work together to solve these finals, being able to wager 0 to 30 in each of the categories. Ready to hear the categories?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. Number 1, AKAs. Number 2, disrespected. Number 3, no pets allowed. Number 4, steamed hams, but it's a trivia question. Number 5, lyrical steak. Number 6, wait, who said that? Number 7, do you play basketball? Number 8, what's the deal with this 90s question? Number 9, I also like to live dangerously. And number 10, Heisman talk.
I think I'm good.
All right, and Dan, what are the 5 categories you're going with?
I think I'm going to go with AKA, steamed ham, lyrical steak. Yeah, I'll take that one. What's the deal with this 90s category? And Heisman talk.
I figured you for Heisman talk, to be honest. All right, so we're going with AKAs, steamed hams, but it's a trivia question. Lyrical steak, what's the deal with this 90s question? And Heisman talk. All right, so you guys can put your wagers together, and then we'll get that in and start reading the questions. The wagers are locked in. You guys ready for the questions?
Let's do it.
Okay. In AKAs, Albert DeSalvo was better known by this name, probably what we'd call Homer Simpson if he was a Celtics fan. Question 2, in steamed hams, but it's a trivia question. And this is literally just a Simpsons question. While Superintendent Chalmers had never heard the phrase in Utica, where he's from, Principal Skinner claims it's an expression from this New York area. In question 3, lyrical steak. The beef between 50 Cent and this rapper is now officially old enough to vote. Whenever 50 says something about him, he's always on time with his response. Question 4, what's the deal with this 90s question? Heather DeLocke had a lot in common with Jerry Seinfeld in an early 1990s video by this band. Question 5, Heisman talk. In one of the most stacked Heisman races of all time, in 1997, Charles Woodson won this award, edging out Randy Moss, Ryan Leaf, and this noted pizza connoisseur.
That makes sense, yeah. And the other was Peyton Manning, for sure, because Ryan Leaf was taken number 1 over Peyton Manning the next year in the draft.
He was?
Yeah.
Okay. How'd that choice pay off?
Bombed out to the Chargers almost immediately. He has
All
a
right.
little bit of a problem with alcohol, if I'm not mistaken.
A little problem.
So I think it might be Ja Rule. I don't know.
I think so.
Because it's always on 104.3,
No.
The Jams.
No, it is. It's Ja Rule. Cool. I feel good about 2 of them. So we're not going to finish with 0.
Well, the first 2 are Simpsons references. So you guys watch The Simpsons. I don't watch The Simpsons.
So what was the question?
Homer Simpson as a Celtics fan.
Yeah.
Is there a nickname for Celtics fans?
What would you call a Celtics fan?
Yeah, Albert DeSalvo, and then if Homer was a Celtics fan, isn't there like a name for no, I don't know if it's a Boston. Oh, it could be like the Boston Strangler, or could it be a serial killer?
That's not bad because, Homer always grabs Bart by the neck.
Oh,
yeah.
That could be.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine. The name's DeSalvo sounds like a serial killer to me. I feel like I might have read about it, but now that you say...
Okay, so what do we know about... I'm assuming this is another non-metropolitan New York City.
So steamed ham. So basically, we're looking for...
It's not like Albany or Syracuse,
right,
or
Syracuse.
Buffalo, or...
Like a buffalo ham, Syracuse ham.
The Catskills.
Maybe Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. I really don't know, though.
It's just my favorite meme, so I thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to have...
How did it blow up 30 years later?
I don't know. If you've ever seen like steamed hams, but it's whatever, those are all the memes that are like all over the place.
90s band. She's in a... So what famous video would have a girl in it that's very 90s? It would have...
She's in an abstinence contest.
Yeah, I think I might know the name, but I can't place it.
Well, we're talking about Seinfeld the show. If we're talking about Seinfeld the person, I mean, he lives in the Hamptons, big New York guy, drives a bunch of Porsches.
Oh, yeah, you didn't say Seinfeld the show. You said it's Jerry Seinfeld. Oh.
B-movie.
Oh,
I mean...
That's too
It's too late.
I don't know.
You don't know? I just want to go Aerosmith. I don't know why I'm saying that, but...
You guys all locked in?
Yep.
Yeah,
it's not Dishwalla counting blue cars.
All right. Dan is locked in, and Neal is kicking himself repeatedly over here right now. So question 1, Triviality betting 30. Dan just betting 10. Dan, what did you say for question 1?
The Celtics fan is what did it for me. He's always choking Bart, so I went with the Boston Strangler.
Yeah, so for this one, I said it might be the Boston Strangler from the serial killer because I remember the name, and then Ken was like, "Oh, well, Homer always chokes Bart, and it kind of fits." So we also went with the Boston Strangler.
Answer is Boston Strangler. Good job, both teams there.
We have a hillside strangler around these parts, except it's a highway.
It is a highway, but there also is a killer named the Hillside Strangler as well.
And to bring it all back, in Seinfeld, it was the Lopper, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
the Lopper. All right. Question 2, steamed hams. Dan wagering 20 and Triviality with 30. Dan, what did you say?
I think I remember him saying, no, you wouldn't have heard of it in Utica. It's an Albany thing. So I said Albany.
Okay. Going with Albany. What did you guys say?
So, yeah, we were between Albany and Buffalo and Ithaca and all these other ones. And then we didn't really know, so we just went with Buffalo.
Yes, it is more of an Albany expression. Points for Dan there.
I did not hear this expression when we were in Albany.
It didn't come up when you were there. All right. Question 3 in Lyrical Steak. Dan just betting 10. Triviality going with 30. Dan, what did you have on this one?
I didn't have a clue on this except for something that, again, Scott Barber keeps coming up on this show here. Something that he shared with us the other day was how 50 Cent reacted
50.
to the news that Rick Ross was ill, and it was if he dies from Rocky.
Dolph Lundgren.
So I'm going to go with Rick Ross on that.
Okay, going with Rick Ross. And what did you guys say?
Well, I'm not always there when you call, but I'm always on time. Figuring that was your reference, we went Ja Rule.
The answer is Ja Rule. 50 Cent has beefs with lots of people, so I can understand where you would think.
Especially people who've been living it up.
Yeah.
I'm living it up. I do a better DMX than a Ja Rule, though.
That's fair.
What? There you go.
Yep, that was perfect.
Neal's going to give it to you.
All right, question 4. Cause for concern for a couple of teams here, it seemed like. Dan wagering 30, Triviality also with 30. Triviality, what did you guys say?
We tried to figure out what a connection between this person and Jerry Seinfeld would be. We could not think of anything, so we just said, oh, well, maybe it's comedians in cars getting coffee, and then we thought of bands that had a lot of cars in them, I guess, the videos with like people on it, so we just went with Aerosmith, just, for no reason.
All right, and Dan?
This was my moment of the show, I think. If I'm right. If I'm wrong, then I'm living this all up for nothing. I was concentrating so much on the show Seinfeld that I didn't think of his other projects. And when I started going through his other projects, the Bee Movie came to me. And since I'd never heard of this Heather DeLoach, I figured she was just someone inconsequential. And that's when I remembered No Rain by Blind Melon. And if that's right, I'm going to go out to a casino as soon as I'm done here and put my mortgage on it.
Yeah, well, I would gas up that car because the answer is Blind Melon. She was the Bee girl, having a little bit in common with Jerry Seinfeld.
It's Bee Movie, but every time they say Bee, it plays Bee Movie.
Yeah, I must have been watching a lot of memes when I wrote these, to be honest. Well, you guys were discussing and you said Bee Movie, and I thought that you'd be able to get to it from there. But
did we? Oh, I didn't even.
Jeff said Bee Movie, but as usual, we ignore Jeff when he talks.
It's usually the smart play.
He says so much, though. It's hard to know when to pay attention.
Jeff's words are like a prospector in old California. Like there's a lot of dirt in there, but you gotta sift it out
All right.
for gold.
Question 5, Heisman talk. Triviality going 25. Dan only with 10. Dan, what did you say?
Pizza is for me. That's Peyton Manning.
Yeah. When you think pizza, you're going Peyton Manning usually.
Every time I think of pizza, I think of Peyton Manning.
All right, Triviality, what did you guys say?
I don't think of Peyton Manning when it comes to pizza. Being from Chicago, we have a lot of options that are good.
Better than Papa John?
Much better than Papa John's. But I do feel like he's on your side. He did also come runner-up to Ryan Leaf in the 1998 draft. We said Peyton Manning.
And the answer is Peyton Manning.
How is Ryan Leaf doing these days?
I'd have to look it up because I don't know what Starbucks he works at right now. But
So Neal, you know what this means.
Yeah,
you're getting kicked out the window.
We're gonna have to pull a new sound clip.
I know
from Game of Death.
To speak of what Ken is talking about in the editing process, we've never had to pull a new sound clip for someone who defeated Kareem, which in the movie Bruce Lee does defeat Kareem by breaking his neck and suffocating him.
So let's get those final scores.
Yeah.
All right, and after the final round, Dan with 290 to Triviality's 170. You've climbed the pagoda and become victorious.
Fatality.
Yeah, great job today, Dan. You were pretty much on top of all of those categories. So
it's all of that trivia notebooking you and Jeffrey Sigurton are doing. You're just
seriously
cleaning up those engines.
It's seriously helping a lot. Things keep coming up that and I'm going to add some questions from this show into it too. Anytime I get something wrong somewhere, I add it to the notebook so I can try to remember it.
Well, after today, it's probably only going to be a couple of lines, it seems like. So.
Yeah, not too much of a full notebook today.
There were a couple moments today that just Kismet was on my side, I think. Things just lined up in my head. That doesn't always happen.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us today, Dan. Any last words before we boot you from the pagoda?
I'm pretty sure we're the ones who've been booted from the pagoda.
Well, we still pay rent here, so he's got to go.
Well, I just want to thank you for letting me come on and do this. I really enjoy you guys. The show is amazing. I absolutely love it. The quick shout out to my brothers in the Sinister Six, Jeffrey and Mike and Scott and Philip and Wesley. You all know that I love you guys and can't wait for you to come on here and take a shot at the pagoda too. So thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. One of our favorite listeners and people meeting in person. And you're always welcome. The door's always open here. And anytime you're in Chicago, join our team and we'll have to take over the world a little bit. So
yeah, and since we're laying face down with our necks snapped on the floor, would you like to do the honors of giving us That Was Triviality?
All right. And that was Triviality.
Mistake. I didn't sign up for a cage match. Hey, unlock the thing. Take the chain off.
Hey, Freak Show, you're going nowhere. I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.